love Mythic Legions, you knows there is somebody behind. Are like three musketeers of the action figures, and one of them is my guest tonight. Everybody knows him like Cornboy or CB, and everybody loves Mythic Legions. And the reason why I created a song with a refrain like that: you got your legion, and you find your faction, you find emotion in a magic war, in a mythic land, in a mythic space, in a mythic life, in a mythic song. You can be a knight, you can be an orc, you can be an elf, or even a skeleton, a demon. You got your legion when you find your faction, you find emotion in a magic war. Welcome back to the show, CB.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you. Thank you so
You
much.
got your legion when you find your faction. I love it. That's great.
You are a good voice, but I
In
think
a
that
magic world.
you are a singer in the past, because I saw some stuff on your profile that you had a group, you had a music band years ago.
Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I was
and which type of music did you play? Which type of
hard
music?
rock, heavy metal, hair band stuff.
Cool.
Screaming, high pitched.
You are the
kind of crap.
You was the vocalist in that group.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Awesome.
Started out playing bass, and but we needed a singer, and so I was playing bass and singing at the same time to try to while we were waiting to find a decent singer, and we couldn't find any, and we found a really good bass player, so I just took over the microphone. It just kind of stuck, so I got to be lazy and just sing instead of trying to practice bass.
Awesome. So there is some artists that play bass and sing at the same time. Right now, I remember, for example, Kurt Smith of the Tears of Fears is a bass player, but also a singer. It's not easy because if you play piano and sing at the same time, it works because the piano gives you the harmony, or guitar at the same time. But the bass, or like drum, and sing at the same time is different, because bass and drum are the rhythmic part of the band, right? No, so it's not easy.
Geddy Lee from Rush is a good example of that. One of the best bass players ever, and just crazy all over the place on the bass, but still finds the melodic tone for the vocals. It's amazing. And Primus, Wes Claypool is the lead singer and bass player of that band, and there were quite a few of them.
Awesome. The music. So now we have in common not only the love for action figure, but also the music. Me and you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Basically, as an artist, I was born as a musician, because in the beginning, in Italy, I did some tour. I was the opener of some famous artists that become my friends. Then I became a writer, and then a YouTuber, and many other stuff. But the music was the beginning of my journey as an artist. And still today, because I create that song for Mythic Legion, for example, many times when I work on my videos, some melody comes in my mind every day, also in the dream. So I not work so well many times today on music, because I'm busy for YouTube or for writing, but the music still inside of me. It's impossible to put away.
We were in a meeting the other day, and we were just having a discussion about, all the fans out there who are also customizers and customize their Mythic Legions figures. We've heard a few people mention like the type of music that they have on the background while they're working and customizing and stuff, and what does it lead to like their inspiration for customizing and stuff. So I mean, I'd like to find out from like all the different customizers out there, do they work on their customs in complete silence? That's the way I do a lot of stuff, is like if I'm doing any actual work where I'm typing up emails, it has to be dead silence, because I can't really concentrate that well when I'm doing that stuff. But when it's artwork, I like to have music or podcasts or something on in the background. And I know a lot of people have said they like rock music. Some people like classical music while we're doing that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd like to find out what different types of music or what kind of media people are listening to or watching while they're doing Mythic Legions customs, and if it's helping to inspire them with what they're doing.
I did many interviews with people customize Mythic Legion on this channel, and many of them told me that in general listen podcasts, especially sometimes music, but especially podcasts. To me, for example, as a writer, when I schedule a new novel, before to start, I pick like a soundtrack to inspire me the story. So that the music to me is like a river. They give me the right way to find the story, but as a writer. But also now that I work in something, maybe you can see now right now in the background, maybe like that you can see.
Yeah.
I purchased the Proxon hot wire foam cutter. It's the reason why for that. I can maybe off camera I will tell you why, but not right now because it's a secret. But when I work with this stuff, everything is new to me. It's something that really I go really mad for that now because it's something new to me. I listen music, especially ambient, epic music, soundtrack for fantasy movie to go in the right way to do something.
Yep.
So I'm busy because of my heart, my passion, like you. And I will start with that because I cover also that we might use your when you first work with Mesco. Tell me something about it, because remember that you love Mesco stuff and now you are involved in their process.
Well, I wouldn't say we're involved with their process, but we did do a project for them. We've known Mez for years, the guy who owns the company. And, he knows that I'm a huge fan of the Fantastic Four. And when I saw they were doing the Fantastic Four, I was like, dude, that's awesome. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to get them because I'm a huge fan of the Mezco figures. But then he contacted us when they were going to be doing the Doctor Doom and asked if we wanted to do it. And I was like, yes, please. And so we just went back and forth on that. And he kind of like said, here's what I'm thinking. I said, that's very much along the same lines of what we would want to do with it if we were to take Doctor Doom and do it ourselves. So we just we vibed really well there, and we did the Doctor Doom figure for him. It was a dream come true because not only am I working with a company that I've been, it's my favorite toy line right now, besides our own. It's my favorite toy line outside of 4 Horsemen properties right now. But it's also Doctor Doom is my favorite supervillain of all time. So worked out pretty well.
Awesome. It's really cool when an artist can, because you did many awesome stuff in your career, but you still have some dream that you can realize. So this is really cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
we still have a lot more. We still have a lot more dreams that we want to do, but that's another one that's kind of scratched off the bucket list. I only did the project managing on it. There were other sculptors, Eric Treadaway and a couple other guys who just killed it on the sculpting on the thing, but I just did project managing on it. But I wanted to make sure, like the open, kind of like more open mouth mask, the like Richards mask, that was like, I wanted to do that. I wanted that in there. So that got put in there. So yeah, that was a fun project. I can't wait to get it in my hand and play with it now.
Yes, it's like to have your baby in your hands when this figure comes out. It's really cool. And speaking of project in general, as a Horsemen studio, you work with different companies, or especially if I remember now, Super 7, but you have also, if we talk later about Mythic and Cosmics, because I won't go too deep in that, also because of you, I started to collect Mythic Legions because of because this is the chapter 3, CB and Alan together, but in the chapter 1, in our first show together, after that interview, I had a dream in the night, and that dream I had a lot of Mythic Legions figures. And the day after, I wake up and I watch every figure in the checklist on the Horsemen, the SuperShow.com website, and then I fall in love with this line. But later I will talk about that. But this question is another question. It's a general question. Well, for the project, you have what is the for different project you have different role, because as you mentioned right now, for this work with Mesco, Eric and others, they made the sculpt and you work in the other side. But this position change, there is a switch in different project. What is the
Well, my position has changed. I used to, at Four Horsemen Studios, I used to do a lot of the fabrication, which would be any of the hard edge stuff like weaponry or accessories or like mechanical arms or, like all kinds of mechanical trinkets that would go all over a sculpture. When we were sculpting traditionally, I would do all that. And when things started changing digitally, I became more of a project manager where we have digital sculptors come in and help, and I kind of manage the project. And I've just taken on that role at the studio now, where I guess I'm the head project manager on everything that's outside of Four Horsemen Studios now. And I just kind of like make sure that everything's done right. And I go back and forth with revisions, design changes, things like that. But it's kind of what I do now.
Okay, I understand now. And another thing I discovered since our last, because after our last show together, I did interview with many people that work with you on the studio, no? And I discovered that you create a really awesome group of people that love the brand, Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions. So I like this philosophy to put together people that love what they do. No, it's not an easy process that everybody can do. So tell me something about how start, or it was casual, how start this idea to have a group of people that love so much their product.
Well, it wasn't really just an idea that came up. It just kind of happened naturally. Our first employee at the studio, full-time employee, was Sherry, and she's the head painter there. And then we started realizing, there are people who are like into the work that we're doing, who are fans, who are collectors, who are knowledgeable about the toy industry itself, even though they're not yet working in it. And so we decided to have some of them come in and help out. There's been many over the years that have both come in and gone, left and doing their own thing. And then, it just kind of became a thing where we kind of look at things like, this guy is a big Mythic Legions fan. Plus he's got these values that are helpful to us. Let's see, let's start bringing him in and having him help us out. And then it oftentimes becomes a regular job for him, and we hire him full time. We've done that a few times now. Our most recent full-time hire was Jeremy Gerard. I think he's the most recent. Either him or Joe Vassapolo, but they were both Mythic Legions fans and toy collectors and customizers and just, all around good guys and knowledgeable about the toy industry and stuff. So just brought them in. What my whole philosophy is, I try to, even back when I was in a band, I try to surround myself with people that are a lot more talented than I am. And then they make me look good when they put out great stuff. And we still do that. Like, just because you're a Mythic Legions fan doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be working at Four Horsemen Studios. But if you've got talent or some sort of something going on that we can utilize, and, there's definitely a chance. You never know.
Cool. That's really cool. And so if in the future you need to create promo with music, or maybe just review.
Well, one of the things that we said was when we were having the meeting the other day about people doing the like what kind of music that they use in the backgrounds while they're customizing was we're doing that video game, and we're actually doing, the people who came to intern for a day got a really good taste of some of the background music that's going to be in that game. And it's going, this, they just got like the most basic taste of it, but it's going to be a full orchestra that's going to be playing these. So we're wondering if maybe we should release a soundtrack of the Mythic Legions game that people can play in the background while they're sitting there working on their Mythic Legions figures and doing their customs.
In the past,
Music definitely has a...
I did some soundtrack in the past from some director in Italy, short movies and stuff like that. It's interesting as a process to work because the music in a movie and also in a games is the same, because the game actually is like an interactive movie. It's really important because give you a little bit the source of the universe of a movie, of a story, because the music. Imagine an horror movie, a top scene of Shining, for example, without the music. Looks like maybe silly without the music, or especially the type of movie with the drama, like also fantasy, the fantasy movie in general, without music, lost a lot. The music is really important. So I think that the musician looks like a co-director a little bit, because also sometimes some directors shoot in the scene with the music before to have the inspiration to find the right way to create the movie.
Yeah, I mean, music is an extremely important part to a movie, to video games, to cartoons, to everything. Like a good example, music can really ruin a movie too. We went to see the Transformers Bumblebee movie in the theater, and we walked out. Like, I didn't think it was a great movie, but the music was, they were just jamming in a 90s song every chance they could get, just to remind you that, hey, this is set in the 90s. And that, to me, it just ruined it for me. Not that I don't like 90s music. I love 90s music, but the way they were jamming it in there was just so forced and just not, it wasn't natural at all. So yeah, a good soundtrack or good background music can really help and make a movie, but it can break it as well.
Yes, exactly. The music in a movie can change the way the movie. If the right music, the movie can be the sky of the limit. Speaking of emotional standpoints, but if the music is wrong, it's the beginning of the end of the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
But now back to Mythic Legions. This is the question, general question for the beginning. Do you remember the first time when Eric comes to you with the idea of Mythic Legions, and what is your reaction at that time?
Well, it started like years before Mythic Legions ever came to be a thing. Like when Toy Biz was doing Lord of the Rings, I mean, we were paying heavy attention to that because we loved, you know, the knights and sword and sorcery and the elves and warriors and monsters and stuff. And when that went away, it just kind of left a void. And all of us, Jim, Eric, and I sat around talking about it, saying we should do something with this. We should, you know, not just leave this setting here. And we talked about, it wasn't called Mythic Legions at the time, but we had talked about doing you know, this type of a property at some point. And then we were doing a show every year at Toy Fair that we called Toypocalypse. And it was a gallery show where every year we would have a theme and we would, you know, display some of our upcoming projects or prototypes and show off some of the stuff that we've done in the past, and like have different fans or artists create art to go with that. And one year we had Mythic Legions there and we showed it off for the first time. And it was, I think it was 5 or 6 different knights and a couple of skeleton guys. And they were, you know, a larger scale because we had originally planned on making them 3 3/4 inch figures rather than the 7-ish, 6 or 7 inch figures that they are now. So these were twice that height. They were a little bigger actually than the final Mythic Legions figure is now. And then we were going to pantograph them down in the factory overseas. And the response there was just people were blown away by it. And we weren't expecting that. It's just something that we wanted to do because like I said, we've always been fans of that genre. And then there was kind of a void left, and there was nothing in the toy industry being done by it. So we said, you know what, we'll take a shot and just try to do some cool figures. Maybe people will like them. But the response was really super positive. And we were like, you know what, maybe we're onto something here. Let's go ahead and try to do something like bigger with this. And we had a message board on our own website at the time. This was before, obviously before the Mythic Legions Cabal, but before we were heavily involved in Facebook or Instagram or any of that. We had our own website that had a message board, and we did a poll on the message boards asking fans, would they like to see these at 3 3/4 inch figures, or would they want to see them at larger scale, like 6 or 7 inch scale? And overwhelmingly, there were a few people who still wanted it 3 3/4. Jeff Cope, an old friend of ours, is a huge 3 3/4 inch fan, and he definitely wanted them at that scale. And he was a little bummed when the vote was overwhelmingly they wanted them at the larger scale. We found out through doing factory quotes that you could actually do them at that larger scale, and it wasn't going to be that much more expensive. So we decided to do them that way. And but the first time Eric came up to us about it, and he was showing us his first sculptures of one of the first nights that we did, and we were like, oh, that's super cool. It was a different take on it. He was like chunky and beefy, and just, you know, you held it and it felt like you had a nice solid thing in your hand. And you could tell that when it was going to be produced as a toy, if it was going to be at this scale, it was going to be this nice big chunk of plastic you could play with and bang around and stuff. And even early on, we had the idea of popping the pieces apart and rebuilding them like we had done with the Outer Spacemen and the what was the other line that we did? Power Lords, where you could pop their joints apart and like put them together in different ways and stuff. We were going to do that in 3 3/4, and we were like, well, why don't we do that in this scale too? Maybe we could do it in this scale. Never thinking that the customizing aspect of Mythic Legions was going to become what it's now become. That's like a major portion of Mythic Legions now, is fans being able to customize their own figures. And so we tried going down that road and seeing if the factory could create a joint system where you could pop them apart and put them together and stuff, and it wouldn't break down the joints and they wouldn't become loose and floppy and everything. And that's just what it become. But when Eric first brought that first figure to us, we were blown away, and we were like, yeah, we got to do this. We have to.
And I think they're really special because I discovered that when I got my first one last year. Now I have over 40 figures. I don't know what is the number. It was really crazy because I picked many characters that was released some years ago, like Almir Golden Tooth, Ursok, these guys. And to find them, I spend a lot of money because it's difficult. But because of the Cabal, I became friends with some people that was also on my show, like Dennis Derby. He gave me a lot of this. Yes, Dennis gave me a lot of these figures with an awesome price and helped me so much to find many of them. Because, for example, for my last Christmas, I got 17 Mythic Legions figures, except for 3, I believe, 3 that were a part of the All-Star 4. The other are only old figures, because I pick all figures they need for my story, because I have this stop motion project. Right. And also the chess game, because my first Mythic Legion project was the chess game. I created this big chess game for many reasons. One is because my girlfriend loved chess. And, nice. And to put her in the Mythic Legion world, the only way is create a chess game with Mythic Legions in troll scale.
Smart. You're thinking, drag your girlfriend into your.
So every time that she comes to my house, because we live in 2 different town, she won't play. I won't play chess with Mythic Legions because she loves chess. And this chess game is the board chess. The chessboard is like 5 feet 11 inches wide, because it's in scale with a troll, because also a troll has a role in the chess game. So I create 2 factions, and the 2 factions with some sub-factions are related also with the stop motion series. So the chess game is like the subject of the stop motion series, basically. This is a little example of these action figures, because not just a toy, it's as a piece of art, in my opinion, give you a big push for the creativity, for every creativity. To me, I'm not a customizer. I'm a customizer, yes, but not with Mythic, with WWF Hasbro figures. But with my friends as a sculptor, is another story. But for Mythic Legions, as a writer, when I remember when I opened the box for my first one, Kim Bronden, was a big surprise for the details. For looks like surrealistic. It looks like we have a real, a little version of real human, real dwarf, because the realism. So I started to build a throne room. I got some pieces from the crash box to create a corridor, and this is only the beginning. And so pushed me to create a series of stop motion. And I understand why this line built a community of artists, of customizers, because there's something special that you can find in other toy, another franchise, whatever you call that. But it's difficult to find this. Maybe because of the details, but it looks like to me, for example, when I get the figures, I remember when I display my first 6 figures, I remember right now, where Kim Bronden, Torgun Redfin, Archimedes, the Steel Knight, the Iron Knight, and Tomb. I display my first 6, and I thought at the time, wow, looks like they start to move in a few moments, because they looks like so real, these figures. And this
you remember the names better than I do.
Yes, I remember also the name of each. I don't remember maybe the figure that I don't pick in my project really well, but the figure that I got in my project I know really well, because I spent a lot for some of them, so I remember very well. Yeah. So I remember also the name of the figures that I picked for the Elysian. For Elysian, almost the full way, because I like vampire. I live like a vampire because I live in the night. So for that wave, I pick a lot of that figures, some of Boxus, some. I spend a lot of money, so I'm crazy. My girlfriend told me, "You are crazy. Spend too much money for these figures. Why? You can't understand why they are so beautiful. Come on."
I've got the same sickness though. Like the figures that I collect, I find myself buying other figures so I can make customs of the types of figures that I really love. So, yeah, I get it. It's a sickness.
Yes,
but it's a good kind of sickness, though. We could be doing a lot worse, right? We could be out doing drugs or chasing women or doing whatever. We're sitting at home playing with toys.
To me, I work hard on this channel because of this channel I can pay my taxes with many stuff as an artist. But sometimes to get the figures, I prefer purchase the figures and delete a travel, for example. I prefer do that because to me it's like a never-ending holiday when I get my figures, because it's so creative. I like that.
It's because you travel to a magic world.
Yes.
That's why.
Find your legion.
You don't need a vacation.
When you got your faction. I did the song. By the way, speaking of the song, I tell you a little story. I'll start this song because, as usual, when I work to editing video for this channel, Toy News especially, and this channel I cover everything for Toy News, including stuff that I don't collect, everything. So when I start some live event by Hasbro, I have sometimes 12 video, 4 video to do, because it covers everything. It's like a service to every collector. Obviously, my love is for Mythic Legions. And when I work in this stuff, to edit video, this video for the Toy News, comes out this melody, especially the phrase that says, "You can sing and I, you can be Anna." The melody, na 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 na, it started to mean this melody. And this melody was really, really... really hard in myself, because push. What is this melody? Because when an idea is really strong in you, maybe you need to listen this idea, And so I start to listen that, So why not to create a song for Mythic Legions? Because Mythic Legions is something that I might love right now as a collector, no? I started thinking about. I started to follow the melody, to find the tone and everything. In maybe 1 hour, the song was done, including the orchestration and some stuff. Then I talked with my dear friend Shartimus Prime. There's an amazing drummer. He loves Mythic Legions too. And he says, "Do you like to do this collaboration for this song?" And he says, "Sure, I want." Then I start to call some friends of the Kabbalah, and also there is a cameo, an introduction with Jeremy Girard and also Dennis Derby. They an introduction because the video is scheduled in 2 parts. It's like a overture intro. And then you see the ruins. Also, I'm the director of the video, so
yeah, that was an epic intro.
Yes, because I like I shooting I tell also a fun story. Speaking, there is some scene in the intro and also in the final scene where there is myself from behind with these angel dark wings that I use, and I shoot in that near my house because everything you can see in the video, the ruins, the castle. Everything is near my house.
Wow.
Like 5 minutes from my house. But to shoot in this little town when the people are really normal and maybe they consider me weird, I go to 6 a.m. and 30 with this long black cape, the top hat, and shooting alone because everybody's asleep or wake up to work. I don't know what happened if someone saw me in this I don't know, on the grass. What is the name in English? Not a land. Where is the grass? Which word you use in English when you find
in the yard?
Yard, exactly.
Yeah.
In this yard alone with the tree with the camera and walking along with this dark wings. So really crazy stuff.
You're supposed to hide your vampirism. You're not supposed to just display it. They're going to come after you with wooden stakes.
It was a lot of fun to do that. It was really a fast process to create the song because it just followed the melody in 1 hour. 1 hour the song was done.
Wow.
It was a little bit long the process to create the video only because I'm really busy for the channel, for the other channel of wrestling, and also I'm a novel to do at the same time. So too many stuff to do. And so the video take me many months because it was scheduled to do some scene with the snow. But this is the only winter without snow. So because of that, on April, I decide, it's time to do the video without the snow. And because my mind was to be this scene with myself like a dark angel was scheduled to be in the yard, white yard with snow. It should be really cool.
Yeah.
And never snowing, just a few hours snowing in the full winter. So I decided to turn, also because the art is like that. You need to change the focus when you have some obstacle or something to fight, because it's a fight sometimes, the art, when you find some difficult, something like that. Especially as a musician, I have this difficulty because not to do song, to do show, but to find the good manager, good producer. And in Italy, the music business is awful. I have many friends that are popular as a musician, but find a producer that understands something different, something new, is really an hard thing. So one of the reasons why I started to become a writer, because I was tired of the music business. But back on track, because
Wait a minute. One of the recent breakout bands, I think their name is Maneskin. Is from Italy.
Yes. I don't like this.
No, I didn't think so.
You talk about Maneskin. This is weird because today my girlfriend, along with some friends, goes to the arena in Italy to watch these guys in a concert tonight, a few hours ago. And they become popular.
They put on a good show. The music, not really my thing, but watching them on stage, they definitely put on they're lively and fiery. So they put on a good show, but I don't think I would be into their music either.
Yes, the music I don't like, especially I think there's nothing really original in them. The problem in the new music in Italy is difficult to find something really original,
Hmm.
something new. Because in general, the producer refuses something new that don't stay in a typical target, no?
Gotcha.
And because of that, if you are different, you become in trouble. Also, if you're a genius, don't care for that for them. You need to stay in the line of a typical target. You do the so because of that, I start to become a writer to forget a little bit this world a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
honest with you. But back on track with cause I will talk with you with the last few ways that we saw about both cosmics and mythic because yes, I'm a big fan. I love the old figures, but wow, the new one looks like the sky is the limit now because of the soft goods, because of the new body shape, the brute scale, but also like we saw with the gray alien in the last wave of Cosmic Legions,
Yeah.
another shape. So the main things that the reason why I like so much Mythic Legion is the different scale between the character, different size. But now it looks like this awesome skill become bigger and bigger. So tell me something about this the latest new wave of Mythic and Cosmic, and this new updated version, better quality, the something that was really good before. Tell me something about that.
Well, when we started Mythic Legions, we started off with, only having a couple of form factors because it's what we could afford at the time. The first Kickstarter did really well, and we added in a few different other body parts and stuff. But to start off with, we started with one major male form factor, which was, it was that what they call now the 1.0 body. And we did that just because of cost. We can only afford to do this right now. But as things progress, hopefully we would get to add in more body types and more different scales of characters and stuff. And as Mythic Legion is becoming more popular, and we're able to put more money back into the full production of the figures. So we can start coming up with a lot of new and different body styles. And one of the most recent ones is the brute scale. It's somewhere between the ogre and the human scale, where it's a little bigger, but it's not quite, monstrous like the ogre. At one point, we want to do a giant, which is even bigger than the ogre scale. And then you mentioned the alien from the gray alien from the latest Cosmic Legions release. That as soon as I saw it, as soon as Eric showed it to us, I was like, a lot of people are going to want that body so they can do a lot of customizing. I can see people taking those body parts and using them with goblins to make like taller, thinner goblins. That's going to be really interesting to see what people do with some of those. And, if it looks like from the sales that have happened for that figure so far, it's popular enough that I could see us going ahead and like expanding upon that body style in both Mythic and Cosmic Legions for different creatures.
Oh, this is awesome, and I'm very happy for that this community growing up every day because if the community become bigger, will be more possibility for the figures. So I like that,
Yeah.
and also because the first things that I liked when I opened my first figures, when you got these figures, you understand that the people behind that are, first of all, are artists and collector, and second one, understand that they take care of the figures and also of the customers. Like, for example, the message to use the hair dryer, hot water to don't broken the joints in the first time. This is a nice touch of respect. So I like, as you mentioned before, or start also the Mythic Legions, since was start the line was a line with conversation with the fan, to good connection with the fan and respect. And I like that. Also, the Inter for a Day you did, I saw the video, obviously. You feel the love of this community and the people. I think it's Baxter, this one.
Yeah, Baxter. He's
Awesome.
in there making noise.
I love bulldogs. I had a bulldog some minutes ago. He passed in 2008, and then I got a pug. I have a pug.
Oh,
I have a
wow.
pug. His name is Charlie.
Eric has a pug. He has 2 of them now.
Cool.
Yeah. But as far as our fans go, yeah, I mean, we're fanboys ourselves. They're toy lines that we collect. We've been toy geeks and toy collectors our whole lives, and the people who collect our stuff they're the same people as us. Why should we treat them any different than us? You know, we're exactly like they are. We just lucked into a cool job. And we've always from the beginning said that, you know, our community is what's going to help us build our business and help us, you know, remain in place. And the fans who collect our stuff and buy our stuff, if it weren't for them, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. Absolutely. There's no way we could be doing what we're doing. So, you know, all the thanks and the adulation goes out to them, because the fans of Mythic Legions and the collectors of all 4 Horsemen products, I mean, like I said, we wouldn't be there if it weren't for them. So just showing them a little bit of, you know, respect and letting them know that, you know, we are a little bit open to the community. We can't tell everybody everything that we're doing, but, you know, we try to be in contact with them as much as possible. And the intern for a day thing, we just kind of did that on a whim, thinking, oh, I'm not sure too many people are going to be into this. And the first crowd that came there, they really loved it. And we got to see that from somebody else's eyes, because when somebody would come to the studio, a new person who was into toys but had never had any kind of insight to the toy industry itself, they'd come to the studio, they'd be walking around going, wow, oh, that's cool. Oh, this is awesome. Oh my goodness, look at this stuff that we see every day. And we just kind of like, oh, that's cool. Oh, all right. Oh, that's nice that he thinks that's cool. But now getting to have people come in and like see this stuff that we see every day, that, you know, we're fascinated by and we love, and we surround ourselves with things that we love, you know, toys and action figures and all kinds of statues and stuff like that. But we get to see it from their point of view when they come in and see all that stuff. And we like to get input from them. Like, we're on the message boards all the time. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on that stuff, you know, following people, listening to people. We don't always speak up when people say, oh, this is what they should do. You know, a lot of people say this is what they should do. And some of it, it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But some of it is like, you know what, that's not a bad idea. We should go ahead and utilize that. And so, you know, like I said, they're the same as us. They're fans, they're collectors, they're geeks, they're nerds. So are we. Why should we treat anybody any different than we would want to be treated if we were in their shoes?
Awesome. I like it. And you feel that also in the beginning, also when you got the figure, we talk together. But before, if someone got the figures, understand that because the quality, the message, the little message is a little because you understand in general in the life, you understand the big things with the small things. The small things is something that tell you the truth.
But that came from trial and error. Like, we had figures that were breaking. We were like, why are these breaking? What's happening? And we realized that sometimes when we'd ship things in the fall or the winter, it would be cold and people would move them and they would snap. And we're like, oh, they need to be warmed up first. Like, if they're sitting, like FedEx drops a box off at somebody's house and it sits outside their house for a couple of hours before they get home from work, or, you know, realize there's something out there and bring it in, that's going to be a cold figure. So warm it up a little bit or it might break. It's all through dumb trial and error. Like, we're still, you know, something comes up and we're like, oh, we didn't know that was a problem, but we know it now, and we're going to try to rectify it for the next run. Just how we have to do things. Trial and error.
But
we learn from our mistakes.
You are the only one. You are the only one that put this message in the figures, because in the past, when it was a little bit more green as a collector for other companies that don't mention now, I broken some figure because I didn't know at the time that you need to use the dryer to warm a little bit the figure. And because of that, if at the time in that figures, in that time, I was this message, my figure that I have now, maybe haven't a broken feet, you know. So it's important. It's a nice touch, and I like it. But
Well,
now I want to talk with you.
myself, I don't really comprehend it because I am 50 something years old. I've been collecting toys most of my life, more often playing with them rather than actually collecting them. But I've been a toy geek all my life, and I have never broken a toy while playing with it. So I don't understand how that happens. But
Because
to each their
the
own.
articulation of these figures was really stiff. And
Yeah,
when I try to move the feet to show the articulation and the review, this feet, the joint was broken.
yeah.
So
So
I was
I
really,
had some figures. They were JoJo's Bizarre Adventure action figures that I'd gotten. They were Japanese imports, and I had them at the studio. And one of the guys that worked out there at the studio just picked one up one day and was messing with it, and he bent one of the knees and it snapped. And I'm like, "How did you do that? I've had those figures for like 3 years, and I play with them all the time, and you just pick it up once and snap the knee on it? What? How do you do that?"
maybe I used too much effort to
Yeah,
move the, I don't know. But
the wrong
in
type of
general,
leverage.
I don't want to mention the company, but for other figures, the articulation were really stiff in these figures. Maybe no, I don't know, some quality control, not no, I don't know, but was a problem with the articulation. You also use the dryer many times, and sometimes still stiff. I don't know.
Yeah.
However,
I know
sometimes
that when we were working at McFarlane Toys, I remember that there was a time where when people were criticizing us that the toys would fall apart when they'd pull them out of the package, like pieces would just break off or they were broken in the package. And I think they've probably taken care of that by now, but I don't see that happening a whole lot anymore. But I guess it probably still happens sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's user error if they're messing around and moving things the wrong way and they break, and sometimes it could be the company's error where they're just the plastic might be bad or something. We had a problem with the Gothatropolis and Mythic Legion's birds where for some reason not only but most of the time only the left, I think it was a knee joint, just kept snapping. And then we were
oh,
looking at it, and some of them had air bubbles in the peg that goes into the leg. And we're like, how's that happening? And the factory looked into it and like corrected it. And I guess it was the temperature that they were melting the plastic that went into the steel mold when it would, stamp it. And it wasn't filling in that one little peg hole because the plastic wasn't, it was a couple of degrees cooler than it needed to be to fill it all the way in. And then they did that and it was fine. But we didn't catch it until we couldn't figure out why they were breaking until, it was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 months after the figures were released. We were looking at them going, why is this happening? And then we started seeing air bubbles in them and realized something in production here. It's not operator error. It's our error.
and now I have a question for you. Is that maybe a difficult question because it looks like when you asking a father which son do you prefer, it's difficult to make a choice. But do you prefer the Cosmic Legions or Mythic Legions?
Right now, Cosmic. I mean, right now, Mythic, but only because my favorite character in all of Mythic Legions is part of Mythic Legions. Now, there are characters in Cosmic Legions that could take the place if we do repaint version, but my favorite Mythic Legions character is Brontus the Arena Troll because he's orange like the Thing, and he's a big bulky guy like the Thing. He even has one big blue eye like the Thing from Marvel Comics. So he's my favorite Mythic Legions character. So Mythic Legions slightly gets that edge over over Cosmic, but I'm actually more of a sci-fi fan than I am a sword and sorcery fantasy type fan. So there's very few characters in Cosmic Legions right now, but Cosmic Legions could very easily take over Mythic Legions for me, I think.
Speaking of big guy that I like, the Cosmic is Slug. Slug is awesome.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about. Like, if we do a repaint on him, he would make a really good thing homage as well.
Yes, it's really cool, that one. I
Yeah.
like it. And speaking of mythics, to me a big surprise, and can't wait to have in my hands, was the moose alder, a new animal in the line. In my opinion, just speculation, obviously, I think that it's time also to the dwarf to have a proper animal to use. It's time to the dwarf to have a little bulky animal.
Like a little boar or something like that.
Exactly. Yes, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, we definitely need to do that. That's one of the things that I think that we've kind of been lacking on, is like mounts for the characters, steeds, beasts, stuff like that. But we're gonna make sure that we how could I say it? Make sure that we address that in the next couple of years.
Yes, I'm sure for that. I want to read some comments or some questions from the people on the chat. This one is about your music career before. Where do there is a possibility to listen your music?
Yeah, there's no albums or anything. It was just me and a bunch of guys playing in bar bands around Indiana and Ohio. Um, we recorded some stuff like with a cassette tape, and then somebody videotaped us one time, but I don't know where that ever went. That's long gone, I'm sure, and probably fairly embarrassing. So I'm probably glad it doesn't resurface, because back then I had the big, the big 80s hair, and I wore, 80s hair band heavy metal kind of clothing and shit. So it's probably pretty embarrassing.
Like Meatloaf, for example.
Yeah, like Meatloaf. When I had long hair and everything, I actually, people were saying, "Oh, you remind me of Meatloaf." Why? Because I'm fat.
Was a good artist, Meatloaf, by the way.
Yeah.
In my
Oh
opinion.
yeah. Very very
I
good.
like especially it was this show side of his concert. He use a different costume. I like this part because is me too, as a musician, as a singer. I use it in my show. This different outfit. I change outfit for sometimes for each song in my show at that time. So I like
Yeah.
when the music become also something like theater. No, acting the song is really cool.
Yeah. The one
Another
longest mask you had on in the video was super
yes,
creepy. Yeah. Don't
yes, the
don't do that
next
anymore.
was I had a lot of mask because it's typical of myself. Use the mask as a also in my concert, and that one because I play different characters in the song. One was
Yeah.
the main character that singing the song in two versions, white and black. And also this character was so enigmatic, could be a demon, could be something that can take over everything, someone that can take over everything or just watching, but is a big power inside. So comes in my mind this character like that. It was I put different version of Alan inside the show, the video.
I can say that was probably the most unique Mythic Legion's custom I've ever seen. I don't think
Absolutely.
think anybody's ever written a song for us.
So another question. This one maybe I understand. I know what with answer could be. Which with Mythic Legion we have been seeing horses and moose. Will there be any kind of mounts for Cosmic Legion in the future? Let's see.
Yes, but we can't really elaborate on it much more than that. It's Will it be animals? Will it be vehicles? Who knows? But yeah, there will be other ways for Cosmic Legion characters to get around besides just their normal bipedal motion.
Now we have what I believe the name was Kragner, a guy with 4 arms. Really cool
Ragnar
also.
is very popular.
Really cool also. Really cool. This also because when I saw the new shape of the cosmics, I started to wonder how they can look in the Mythic also, no? Because I think when you start to create some tooling, maybe with some difference, we can use also that one, like you said before, for the gray alien, could be a really tall goblin, for example. So
Yeah.
can't wait to discover what happened in the future. And I'm a guy that I like waiting in general. I'm not a guy that I want know everything right now. No, I
Yep.
like
Me either.
waiting because it's a part of the magic of the collecting. The only thing is I need the figure before to the review when the figure comes out because to do some views. But beside that, I like waiting. To me, it's not
Yep.
a big problem.
It's
Uh,
like to me, it's like Christmas. Like, you know, a lot of kids, they like would search their house trying to figure out if they could find out what they were getting for Christmas. I never did that. I never wanted to do that. I liked the anticipation building until that final moment you get to crack everything open and see what you got for Christmas. And it's the same when I collect toys. You know, I'm fine with pre-ordering figures and never really knowing myself when something's going to come in. Like, I mean, I collect Mezco, so obviously I'm okay with waiting. People who collect Mythic Legions are into it. Hopefully they're okay with waiting, but I get that anticipation knowing that, oh, this thing's going to come, and I go over my list and see what I have pre-ordered, and I look at my shelf and try to figure out where's this guy going to go, and if I ordered extras, what kind of customs I'm going to do, that kind of thing. It's fun to do that. I mean, I think everybody would rather have it. Oh, I order it now and I'll have it tomorrow, like Amazon. But you know, that's not the way things are done. But I'm okay with that.
Also, because when you got your figures after waiting, you have a big pleasure because the hype is bigger
Yeah.
when you wait something,
Yep.
and so you feel every detail, you watch every detail, you look every details and enjoy it. It's
Yep.
something special of Mythic Legions is that the details of the paint job, the details of the sculpt, this stuff is really is beautiful. So
Thank you.
you need to watch, rewatch, and start to imagine how you can display, how can not just display to me, but especially how build my storyline. And the problem is the creativity has become really big, and also the stuff you want made for them become really big.
Yeah.
because
Yep.
because I like that you have big figures. I like that you told me before that in the beginning was also possible a smaller version of them. I like they are big because
Yeah.
I like this the big things in general. No? In wrestling, I like the giants, for example. No,
Me too. Like for me, for action figures, my main scale is like 6-inch scale action figures. Like there are companies out there now that are doing 7-inch scale. And I don't really care for that scale as much. I don't know why. 3 3/4 inch figures, I used to collect those, but I don't really care for those much anymore. And I don't know why. I have a few 12-inch scale figures and I like them. I have Rocket and Groot from Hot Toys that are just beautiful figures, but I would rather have them at 6-inch scale and be, you know, just as detailed and beautiful. I don't know why. I like 6-inch scale best. I don't know why those other scales just don't do it for me. So that's 6 to 7-inch scale, somewhere in there. That's my sweet spot. But for Mythic Legions, we want something a little different. This line is unique and it's all its own. It doesn't really mix and match with other lines. And I mean, I think that's one of the things that makes it special. And I like figures that have like a lot of heft and chunk to them, like my thing figure that Eric made me for Christmas one year. You know, it's beefy and it's chunky and it's just a big chunk of figure. I like that. Mythic Legions kind of fills that, you know, feeds that need.
and I think also the good test to understand how good is a figure is show the figure with someone that is not a collector. And I do that with Mythic Legions. And everybody, my brother that is a skeleton fan in general since we was a kid, when I show to him the Skeleton Legion builder, he blow his mind that because it's perfect. The skull is perfect. He's so wow! I won't play the chess game with me too now to the figures. And when he showed the troll, the stone troll, to my mother, she she was a little bit in the paint stuff and when she was young, and watched the Stone Throne. She was surprised because of the quality and the details, the texture of the figure. And when you got this response for people that are not collector, the people that think that collector is a crazy or forever or never and never growing up man. So when the people like that watch the figure still surprised because of the quality, so this is the perfect test to understand the quality of the figure, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of that credit goes to our factory and Chris Gorich for being our production manager and overseeing all that, because we can spend, hours and hours, weeks even on a figure, making sure every paint detail is just perfect on our prototype. But if the factory can't reproduce it, it doesn't matter what you paint on that prototype. You got to make sure that you have a factory that is a high quality factory that's willing to do the work and do it right. And early on, there were some hiccups here and there. Like when we were doing the Gothatropolis figures, on their shoulders, they have this big shoulder pad that has like a moon on it. And that moon has a lot of little like meteor pock marks in it. And they're all different shapes and sizes. And they have like little rims around them and stuff. When we got the first tooling pattern back to tooling, what is it? What is it called? I forget, but the first shot that comes back from the factory, it's not the test shot. It was the ceramics, whatever it was. But it looked more like a golf ball. Like every hole was exactly like symmetrical from each other, and they were all the same size. And we're like, that's not a moon anymore. Or as Ben Kenobi would say, that's no moon. So, we had some hiccups like that, and we had to have them go back and redo things. But now when we send figures over to our factory, the prototypes over to our factory, and they send back our first painted samples, there are always tweaks and like little updates and stuff that we have to have them make to them. But for the most part, they almost completely nail it every time. Like they get what we're trying to do here, and they do a spectacular job. And they don't just do it on the samples that they send back to us. They do it on productions of thousands of figures, and they just all come out beautiful. So, I mean, all the credit goes to the factory for producing such beautiful figures. They really do an amazing job for us.
Yes, that's right. I agree also because if you watch a picture of the prototype and the actual figure, you see the same quality, because sometimes in another company you find big difference between the prototype and the actual figure.
Yes.
But this difference there isn't in the Mythic Legion, because of the factory, also the good quality control, no questions about it. It's really cool. Is another things that makes Mythic Legion special, no? Because we find something that stay in the same quality. Also because to be in your mind as an artist, a creator of these figures, when you got the perfect results, you also satisfied as an artist because you got something that you create. When you've got something really different, you is a delusion also for the man that create that, I believe. No?
Yep.
So you are lucky also for the good factory, in my opinion.
Yeah, we are very lucky, very fortunate. We've got a couple of good factories now, and Chris sniffed them out over there and found the right factories to do the jobs for us. I mean, we've been through a few factories. Like I said, when the first I can't remember what those are called. Just slipping my brain tonight. But like the first ceramics came back on those Gothatropolis figures, he immediately went to another tooling factory and had those retooled. And he sniffs out fantastic factories over there. So he gets a lot of credit for doing that for us. We don't have to worry about that. He definitely stays on top of it.
And the next question is, I believe, easy question. What is the best part of your job and the most difficult part of your job?
Well, the best part of my job is just like you just said, like we come up with some ideas for characters or accessories or something like that. And then when they come in, like the first test shots, like we see them in prototype form and they're beautiful and everything. But then when the first test shots come in and they're in plastic and we can actually mess with them and like articulate them and put the weapons in their hands and like take parts off of them and put other parts on, that's the best part to me, because it's just amazing seeing something that you were involved with creating come back, and it's like it's literally a toy now. It's no longer just a prototype that you've created, and it comes back and it's something that you can play with. And one of the things that has amazed me, even recently with some of the Cosmic Legion stuff, is we'll send a sculpture over to the factory and it'll be the casted or printed prototype. And when we get it back, when we get the first test shots back, the plastic injection test shots, they will have gone in and engineered certain parts to come apart and go back together. If you have an orc head, if you notice on most of the orcs, their bottom jaw and their teeth is a separate piece in their head. And you wouldn't know it if you're just looking at the figure. You have to like look closely and maybe pry the jaw out. That jaw pops out and the teeth pop out, and it's a separate piece. We didn't sculpt it like that. We sculpted it as one head and sent it to them. And then when they sent it back, they had engineered that jaw as a separate piece so they could paint those teeth all the way around and make sure that it's a nice clean fit in there, and nice, the teeth are painted nice and clean. And they do that with a lot of our stuff. Some of the Cosmic Legion stuff came back, and some of the heads and helmets are separated in places so they can paint it in different ways, or so they can put it in the mold so it like produces in a certain way with no undercuts. And I'm amazed at the engineering that they do over there. It's stunning. So yeah, that's the best part of our job, I think, is that getting back the job itself. I mean, interacting with fans and being part of a community, which we never thought was even possible with our figures, is pretty awesome. But if you're talking about just the job itself, getting those things back, and the worst part, not the worst, but the toughest part of my job is that now after years, it's not just Jim, Eric, and I in the business anymore. We now have employees, and it's not just one or two people who are like friends of ours that are working with and stuff. We have a decent amount of employees and freelancers, and now we have to be the boss sometimes. And I never wanted to be the boss. I never wanted to start a business and have to be the boss and be all, I guess, professional. I don't think I'll ever be professional, but you have to, as a boss, kind of set an example a little bit for your employees and work with them and try to figure out, if somebody's upset about something or something's not going right, how to work things out with them to get things to go right and everything. And never wanted to do that. So having to do that, it's tough. It's tough to do. I'm not built for that kind of stuff, but here we are.
You need to be a leader now.
Yeah, I don't want to be a leader. I just want to be a geek that makes fun toys.
But I understand also this side, because as a musician, when I do my concert, I had especially girls, many girls, they worked with me, model, actress, musician. It was tough work with many girls, because sometimes they start to fight each other. So you need to because the girls, too many girls together could be a trouble.
Really?
Because maybe she don't like the other, she start with me, I'm better. So one of the reasons why I stopped to do concert for a while is because I was started to stay with this girl. They start to fight each other, say the dancer against the musician. Oh, come on. So to me, it's tough. Organize other people. It's something that I don't like so much. I prefer work by myself. And maybe if someone there, a manager, someone to do something for me, logistic. I'm not a logistic guy. And the logistic side of artwork, of art job, is tough to me, because I prefer writing. So I like be a writer, because as a writer, it's just myself. As a YouTuber, it's just myself, no? and like that is easy to me.
Yeah,
Also, as a writer, I need publisher to publish my novel, but before depend only for me. To do a concert, you need many people that work with you, especially if you're a solist artist, not a band. So the other are not Alan. So they like to be in the concert, but they need to be paid then. But at the same times, they don't feel really well your ideas. No, they
right.
play violin because there are the notes to follow it. So, so to me, that was a tough the music business, for example. So I
Yeah.
understand what that means. Your position that you have many people that work with you and listen everybody, lead everything is not an easy job.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a leader, but I mean, I get what you're saying. Like it's more. It's not the people. The people that we have working with us and working for us are fantastic, but it's the fact that I'm much more into like the artistic end of it than I am in logistic. I'm not into logistics. I'm not into the clerical end of things. I'm into the more artistic end of things. But that kind of stuff comes with it when your company starts to grow, you start to expand, and you start to bring other people in. That's part of it. So
It's a
luckily we're
part.
surrounding ourselves with people who are talented at that kind of stuff. So Eric, Jim, and I don't have to do quite as much of it, but
Do you meet before Eric or Jim?
what you're asking who I met first?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
at the same time, I met them both at the same time. They were both working at McFarlane Toys. Well, at the time, it was Todd Toys. They were both working there for, I think Jim had been working with the company that became McFarlane Toys' design company for a few years before that. And then Eric had been there for, I guess, at least a year or at least maybe 2 or 3 before I got there. And then I moved out to New Jersey to go to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Graphic Arts, I think it's called, the Joe Kubert School, and to draw comic books. And I lucked into a part-time job at McFarlane Toys, Todd Toys, and that's where I met Jim and Eric. They were already there, and they were working in the back, doing the sculpting, doing the fabrication, doing the molding and casting work, and they kind of taught me everything that I know today, which ain't much, but they taught me what I know.
Did you meet also Todd McFarlane at that time?
Yeah, I mean, not then. Um, Todd McFarlane's company, where his main base is in Arizona, and the design studios were in New Jersey. It's on nearly opposite sides of the country, and he would call and he would talk to the guys who owned the design studio and like go over design stuff with him. Sometimes he would talk to some of the other sculptors, Eric included, and go over stuff with them. But mostly he would talk directly to the design, the guys who own the design studio. And then sometimes he would fly out for, say, like Toy Fair or some special event that he had to do in New York or on the East Coast or something like that. And he would come into the studio, or we would have dinner with him at Toy Fair or whatever. And we would meet with him and talk with him and stuff. He'd come back into the back of the studio where we were working and hang out and talk with us for a little bit. But not very often. We met him a few times.
Okay, okay, because he's a guy. I tried to have an interview with him. I sent some message, but I'm still waiting.
Uh,
And yes, but because I try to expand my channel also for my show. Uh, However, this one is the episode 55, by the way, of the show.
wow, 55.
Yes, I did. Also, I did interviews with Brian Flynn. Is one of my favorite guests. 5 episodes with Brian. Also,
Nice,
I had also the J. Joe's team with Lenny and Emily.
nice.
Also, I have this mug because I saw this mug, Lenny. I had used this
Oh
mug.
yeah, nice. Yeah,
I saw that during an interview with Lenny of the J. Joe's team. And this mug was really cool to me because really mythic, no?
yeah. It
And
is
he
really
helped me to find another like him because it's really cool.
nice. Yeah, I like the
So,
double handle. So depending on what you got
yes,
in
you
there, you
can
still hang
drink
on to it
also
if
like
you get
that. No.
a little tipsy.
There is a comment for you says that you and Brian are the favorite guests of Justin.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So maybe now it's time for the last question.
Okay.
The last question is easy or maybe difficult, the answer for that. You need to pick only one word to describe yourself. Which word do you pick to describe Eric CB Cornboy?
I've always used the word lazy. I know I
Really?
don't. I mean, the thing is, it's hard to get me going and doing something. Once I'm doing it, I just put my head down and I bust my butt until it's done. So I'm not really lazy. It's just kind of tough to get me going. I remember when I was a kid, when I was a baby, my mom and dad told me when I was a baby, I have a cousin and she was 1 month younger than me. And when we were about, I don't know, we were still crawling, we were babies. They sat us on the floor next to each other and they put a teddy bear that we both really liked out in front of us and then waited for us to run after it. And before I even started moving to go get the teddy bear, my cousin already had it in her hands and was cuddling it. So yeah, it's kind of tough to get me moving. Once I get moving, I go, but so lazy, I think would be a good way to describe me.
But I
And I
understand
always say I try not to suck, so.
to me, for example, I'm lazy in many stuff. I'm not lazy in my job as an artist. For that,
Yeah,
I'm like a machine. I can work 14 hours for the channel as a writer, but in the other stuff, cleaning the house, walk a little bit because sit all days. It's not really good for
right.
the back. Sometimes I have some back pain because I stay too much sit to editing to working. So I'm lazy for sport and lazy for this stuff because I prefer use my time for my job, for my heart.
Yeah,
So for some stuff I'm lazy. For the stuff that I love, no, I'm really. What is the words in English? Methodical.
yeah, yeah.
Methodical for that. Really schedule.
Well, people say there's not enough time in the day, and that's one thing I've always believed. I just never seem to have enough time in the day to get everything that I want to get done. So, yeah, I get that. Once I get started, I knuckle down and I stay on something, and it's there's just not enough time to do all the different things that I want to do during the day.
I understand very well. It's my problem. For example, because yesterday I started working on my stuff, on my YouTube stuff, I believe, because I live in the night, so 7 p.m. and
Uh-huh.
12 hours later, on 7 a.m., I'm arriving at the end of the day with something that I haven't the time to do because I have too many things to do every day,
Yeah.
too many projects. It's difficult. I need more than for 24 hours,
Yeah.
but I need also to sleep because if you don't sleep, you have less energy to do everything. No,
That's true. Absolutely true.
so I sleep in the day, so I close every window like and nobody because if someone try to to call me when I sleep, I can become a little bit dangerous, upset. Don't call me when I sleep.
Ringers off when it's daytime.
Exactly. When Dracula slept, he needs to stay asleep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, now it's time to back on the piano, my friends. You find your allegiance when you got your affection. You find emotion in a magic world. In a mythic land, in a mythic space, in a mythic life, in a mythic song. You can be a knight, you can be an elf, you can be an orc, you can be an ogre, or even a skeleton, a demon. Thank you, Cornboy, to be in my show.
You're
your
welcome.
awesome love for the art, because you made the legions that made the song. So thank you, Sabine.
Bravo,
Thank you
my friend.
to come back, and I hope to have you again in the future, because now there is like a race between my guests, and the number one is Brian with 5 episodes. There is Nate Birch with 4, and you with 3 episodes, and also Sharon Spry with 3 episodes. So you need to advance. So thank you so much, and thank you to all of you guys to enjoy the show with me, SCB, and don't forget to go to theSorAwesomen.com, because the pre-order for Cosmic Legion still open until Sunday. That's right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
So
Get
don't
in there
miss
and get
that,
yours.
because if you miss that later, you will cry. So thank you so much, guys. Good night, my friends.